Oni zjednoczenia, tak to nos dieta. Nie, kiec.
Team, oh, Widowster's coming in. All right. Actually, this is great that we got so all right, everyone. We'll start it off now. This is it's great to have you guys. You know, it's always an honor to be bringing the JFH community together. And everyone knows me, Jan. Speaking out of character right now. You know, I'm producing Justice for Hire as a series with the rest of our team. And there we go. Kid Ninja's coming in. But yeah, producing Justice for Hire is our series, and it's again the first crowdsourced cinematic universe. You know, we're building it with the community, and this is something that we you know, it's really never been done before, but we see this being a multi-year experience because we've been doing this for 2 years, and every year it gets bigger and more dynamic, and we've been intentionally quiet in our first like year and a half. So 2021 is going to be really interesting as we start turning up the volume. And these hero meetups on Zoom are an example of us starting to turn up that volume as a community and really being able to tie together all the hero stories, individually help make the stories that you guys want to tell for your own heroes, your own characters, that much more dynamic, and also being able to actually tie those narratives together nationwide, worldwide, as we start expand into other countries as well. So just that being said, I want to go over the agenda here because we have some amazing you long just message. Yeah, we have Vengeance is on here right now, and he was we were talking earlier this week about how he wants to integrate some heroes and produce some content with multiple heroes. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. Voldemort is on here as well, and he's got a really interesting story that he wants to tell, and again that would integrate other heroes as well. So we're going to figure out how to best do this together. And of course, we have the some of our members from the real life superhero community on here today, and I would love to. We've talked about in the past setting up just another JFH panel, just to kind of like highlight some of the stuff that they're doing in the real world, and just to kind of showcase that there's so many different types of people that are a part of our community, including the real life superhero community. So it's great to have Widowster and Code Gray here. So I'd love to, and I know that Arachnoid also was going to be in this panel. So I'd love to just set up something with you guys, and we'll schedule that and find out what the best day is. And I'd actually love to start with that first, since we have both of you right now. But Code Gray and Widowster, like last year, the weekend after Christmas was crazy for JFH because the essentially my phone, I set the alerts on my phone to be loud and vibrating, and my phone didn't stop vibrating from Friday to Sunday night, and so it melted my phone's battery. I had to go get it fixed on that Monday. So that was the weekend after Christmas last year. So I'm wondering, how does everybody feel on here? And of course, how does Code Gray and Widowster feel about potentially doing a real life superhero talk next weekend, the weekend after Christmas? And I'm just wondering like what your schedules are like there. And I'm also wondering what everyone on this call, would that be something that you guys would be interested in for the last weekend of Christmas, or something that you guys want to would be better in the early new year? So any thoughts there? And
sounds good to me.
Sorry,
I mean,
you're in?
Sounds great.
Okay. And who that was Code Gray. Okay. How about you, Widowster?
Yeah, that sounds decent.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so and everybody else in terms of accessibility, weekend after Christmas if there's no if anyone has an issue with that, let me know. But it feels good.
Weekend after Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, like Friday's Christmas, next Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it would essentially be like some, a talk that's under an hour that would essentially just be highlighting The fact that, I mean, to me, it's amazing that we have people from the real life superhero community bringing their stories into JFH. Like that to me is awesome because we are, as a community, fictionalizing solutions to real world problems. But then on another side, we actually have people who are really like going out there and doing some of this work. And I also have been watching, and there's some of the heroes that are on this call actually that have stepped up in the real world to help out in different ways. And that means anything from standing up for other people's rights or to charity work, etc. And all of that stuff to me is like, I think entertainment as a whole, this is out of character, Jan, speaking as a producer, entertainment needs to actually push us to do things, to become better characters for ourselves in our own lives, become heroes in our own lives. So the fact that this is actually happening, and to me, it's just amazing. So we'll schedule that. Whittlester, Code Gray, we're going to schedule that for next week. And we'll figure out I'll work with both of you guys. I'll create a separate chat on IG just to kind of put the real life superhero guys together. So we'll figure out that time, the date, and actual like the talking points or agenda that you guys might want to cover to kind of reveal a little bit more about your real life superhero experience, and then of course how that ties into JFH. So thank you. And let's see. Next up, I mean, first of all, is there before we dive into Vengeance, Voldemort, and just some of the next steps for that? Is there anything that anyone in the community would like to bring up that we as a community should be aware of, or thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share overall?
I did have an idea.
Captain Darkness?
I had a splendid idea. Well, I was thinking of doing a villain panel. We were having a panel for the villains, just separate. It would be easier to see all the unique displays of villains on the panel. Like having a separate panel for them, probably, I think, before New Year's or after New Year's. So you have a separate panel for the villains, so you can see all of them.
So I'll say this, that when it comes to villains, and again, like what we've been doing for the last 2 years has really been centralizing heroes. And that's not to say that we don't want to centralize villains as well, but it's I think that first and foremost we really have built up a community of heroes, and there are a handful of villains that are in the community. And I think we're still, again, out of character, Jan, speaking here as a producer, we're still figuring out how this integrates. Of course, anyone could you could be a hero, a client, or a villain. So we're still figuring out how the villain component really plays into and affects the narrative, the larger JFH narrative. But we want to see the villains. As a matter of fact, I think that everyone will be really interested in how Voldemort is some of his ideas on here. So we got you long. All right. So that being said, Captain Darkness, I completely agree with you that we do need to be able to. And if you looked on Instagram, we actually created a section for villains on our highlights. So and out of character, your villain character that you've created is on there right now. So and anyone who's paying attention to the Justice for Hire YouTube or any of our other platforms, you're going to start seeing that all of them are going to essentially mimic each other in terms of the information hierarchy, or so you'll see sections for villains, sections for heroes, sections for quote unquote the series, and how-to videos, which we shot one last night. So all of that will be great. The how-tos are connected to the journey challenges, which help everybody tell their origin story. And so anything else from the community before we move on to Vengeance and Voldemort's concepts? Update anything? Okay, and one more note.
What happened? Did somebody say my name?
Oh yeah, Vengeance. We're going to jump into some ideas that you had in a moment. Just one more note. We are going to set a date very shortly on, and Andra can speak to this, but with hopefully right after Christmas, a test for the heroes to be able to actually jump into the JFH app. So
Wait, we're gonna be testing the app?
yeah, everyone's going to get to test the app. I think this might actually happen next weekend. So that is the aim as well. So this will be the first like large test of this new iteration of the app. So like we would love anybody and everybody from the community on there for when we do that, and we'll announce the specific date this week. It'll be after Christmas, and yeah, this is well, we're gonna build the app out slowly with you guys, because we just need your input. And Kid Ninja last week, or the last Hero Meetup, was asking a lot of questions about the app that were stuff that we actually already put into the app. So like the ability to rival each other, or ally each other. So like that, it's gonna be pretty cool. So we'll announce that this week. And all right, so it's Hawk's coming on in a bit. Tomahawk. All right, great. So let's go right to Vengeance and Voldemort, and we'll start with Vengeance on and you.
Can we start with Voldemort?
Sure. We can start with
Because
Voldemort.
I'm in the line right now at Levi's.
All right, sounds good. So Voldemort, yeah, we have you on. Okay, great. So Voldemort had some really interesting ideas that for his character. And I would love for Voldemort to speak to it a little bit more than I, but essentially the opportunity is multiple heroes seeing his some of his work. And so Voldemort, I'm interested in how you would classify yourself, and I'm speaking out of character right now. Again,
Okay.
This is Jan out of character, talking from the storytelling kind of producer standpoint.
Understandable.
I'm looking at. Would you classify Voldemort as a villain or as an anti-hero?
He is more of a anti-hero, in a way. But he does have a twisted mindset to where he thinks he's a villain constantly. But he, deep down inside his actual heart, he is nothing but an anti-villain that actually wants to take care of everybody. But he is so blinded by what happened to him in his past that he is trying to make the perfect hero. That's his main goal. Due to his past, his family was actually killed because someone took the name of hero and tainted it and pretty much made it in a twisted way for him, and that person also tortured him. So there are people that are actually out there like that use certain names and use it to a horrible means. This is pretty much that way of saying this is a serious thing and this can possibly happen. Like I've been thinking about it for a good minute, and some people have gone through issues such as this, and I think it should actually be known that some people use certain names to do certain things, and these are the repercussions of that thing. So he is pretty much a twisted individual that was pretty much a victim, and so he is trying to make the world better while he doesn't care about himself, and he will do everything he can to make sure that the future actually has at least one perfect hero. And so he doesn't care if he actually has to die at the end of the series for that too. And he will do literally almost anything just to get it. So
I love that narrative, and honestly, it like resonates with me personally. On certain times in my life, I feel like I felt like that, and it seems like Code Gray too.
yeah, to be quite honest, this type of a story actually kind of happened similar to me, because I was in Job Corps for a good little bit, and I had some person who would actually do certain things to me, and this actually came from a personal experience. This is why I'm actually doing it, because it hurt. It genuinely did hurt, and I want people to understand that, hey, this is an actual thing. So, yeah. I just want it to be known that some people will actually taint certain names, and there are repercussions to this. And it can sometimes be mental, it can sometimes be very physical damage to anyone. And I don't want anybody else to go through it. And I genuinely don't really care about what happens to me. I just want everybody else to be safe. So that's like the actual thing that ties it to me. And that's why I want other people to understand. But as a side joke for this character, his only favorite thing is Skittles. That is literally it. Nothing else will make him more happy than giving him a pack of Skittles. He will not kill you for that.
So this is really, you know, I think you're that concept of wanting the whole to be okay, and you know, it's interesting to me because I think that there are concepts of you know, expanded awareness, you know, for the whole, for humanity, for people, that I think any hero kind of has at their heart, in their heart. I think that there's an interesting narrative perspective there of the dangers of martyrdom, in terms of not caring for the self as much as the whole, even though the power, there is also power in that. And I think there's a whole conversation which actually makes that narrative so much more interesting to contemplate. But one of the things that I think that made this conversation that much more appropriate for the community and the hero meetup is because Yu Long a few weeks ago brought up the idea of how are we going to collaborate with each other in different states, etc. And Voldemort,
yeah.
you started bringing up, hey, I want other heroes to see my work and know that it's wrong, you know, to a certain extent. I'm misquoting you, but it's just the concept of other heroes seeing your work and potentially having a problem with it. I love that narrative of heroes, of Voldemort essentially traveling around the country, and people seeing the wake, you know, what's left behind from some of your work, and other heroes getting activated potentially to find you. And I think that's really interesting as a narrative, to find you and stop you, or however you want to frame that. But that to me was really interesting, because it's that from a production standpoint, like we could all be taking video of something that is, if Voldemort, if you give us the direction, essentially outline what it is that your character has done or is doing in the JFH community, that would be something that we could all capture on our end. For example, if you're leaving you know, a mark behind, you know, or that's something that each hero can kind of find. And all of this stuff, we would all obviously map out a story of, if there are clues left behind, where does that lead us to? And so this is where we kind of get the difference between you know, us just shooting something, a video, and kind of walking away from it, and us linking these videos together to a narrative endpoint, which actually takes us as a community to another level as collaborative storytellers. So Voldemort, I don't necessarily expect us to get to the answer for this today on this call, but I would love to just bring this up, because if anyone has any ideas, and Voldemort, with you spearheading your story, everybody should spearhead their story. If you have any ideas on that, I think we should all hear it.
Okay, so I can actually answer a little bit of the questions that you actually do have. For the whole tying all the other heroes together, and what I would leave as a mark is basically for every hero that is in each video or whatever, there should at least be one person that is at least suspicious of being using the name in a very wrong way of a hero. And Voldemort is always gonna have a record of every single person in the entire app. That's what he thinks of as his job. he's going to be checking every single list of every single hero and pretty much investigate, seeing if they are actually who what they say they are. And if they're not, and he finds them, he's going that's the mark that he's going to leave. He's going to leave that person lying on the ground. He's going to pretty much be hunting and try to kill every single fake hero. That's his thing.
I'm taking
And
notes here.
it happens with huh?
I'm taking notes on this.
So that way it will actually tie everyone to at least in some ways, and in some ways to actually tie everyone to him, but then he ties everyone to everyone else. So it all goes together in that way. Plus, with the whole me being a truck driver, this job can at least be a little bit easier, you know.
That's I wasn't aware of the in character. Voldemir's a truck driver, or out of character.
Out of character.
Okay.
Nobody really knows how he travels.
Okay, so out of character, you essentially can get to multiple places fairly easily,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yes, I actually can.
Wow.
Nobody knows how he transports, and he prefers to actually be solo. But every now and then, if like in a certain state, he will actually let someone that he deems at least a little bit worthy to actually come with him on a mission, on an actual good mission, not one where he kills someone.
So
That's also a test of seeing what they'll do.
this is super interesting to me because and everyone, these are an aspect of these hero meetups are creative workshops. So please voice opinions, thoughts, ideas of how we can all take our ideas together to the next level. Voldemir, I just want to say this that this is interesting to me in terms of the concept of you actually keeping a record of the app of all the heroes in the app. And we're actually going to be releasing, as a side note, screens, assets that people can download if you want to emulate the app on your in any of the stories you're shooting. So we'll put that on the site and you can download, and that'll happen this week.
I actually have an idea where I'm going to be making a video, and I'm going to be making a intro video for my character where he's going to wake up in some hotel, and he's going to open up his laptop, and it's going to show all the faces of all the heroes, and that's how he's going to be having his we're going to have all of his records. Originally, it was going to be like this metal book, but I think it'll be a little bit inconvenient for him to constantly wear it around, especially if he's around other heroes. He accidentally drops it. They look and they see one of the heroes being neutralized. I don't think nobody wants that. So
the interesting thing to me is that because we have I think one of the concepts that we are working on as a community is the ability to tell stories without disrupting each other's stories, only augmenting our individual stories and then uplifting or the overall narrative. And I think so this is when you kind of state out like, hey, I'm seeking out other heroes and kind of evaluating whether or not they're real. That's interesting to me because it actually requires the again, out of character, the consent of the owner of that hero. Whether it's Sensei Claus or Yulong or Kid Ninja or Vengeance, etc. Like to actually reach out, like Voldemort actually reaching out to you guys and saying, hey, like, would you collaborate with me on this story? And this is how I see this going. And to a certain extent, that narrative is going to be developed, and I'm happy to help in any way that you guys would like me to. But that story is very much going to be between you guys. But Voldemort, you were going to say something?
There is also a few months back, I would say. I was actually, me and one other person we're actually going to collab in a over in Dallas, Texas. I don't know. I have to try to contact him again, and he's basically saying that he wants to do a recording of his character wanting information from my character, and him and my character also helping him on his mission. It's a whole like giant fight scene with like me using my guns and all that sort, and giving him cover fire while the other character is using my guns to fight. And the other character is going to have a new signature weapon that came from Voldemort.
That's
So-
awesome. I have to say that just again, out of character, Jan as a producer, that we're never asking anybody to shoot action scenes for per se. Like if that's something that you want to do, that's and you feel confident, you have the expertise in actually covering action. I see Jay on here, Jay Edward with his Action 2020 film T-shirt on, which is awesome. So if action filmmaking is your thing and you can do it safely, and safely means repeatably, so that you can actually do it in areas. Also, of course, like the best practices of filmmaking, letting people know in the area that you're shooting in that you're making a scene. You never want to flash weapons so that police, etc. get alerted. I just have to say that as the producer. Because you don't want anybody getting hurt or the law being brought in unnecessarily, so just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I understand that, but the only issue that this current individual is having is trying to get permission to actually use some of the abandoned buildings.
Okay, cool.
To actually make some of the shoots.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like you have your own protocols in place and enough knowledge to actually get it produced properly.
Yeah, and all of the weapons are all airsoft, and they look realistic, and they sometimes feel realistic, but all in all, they're not really going to be able to do much. And plus, we won't really be using the actual ammunitions, unless it's like, unless we use one certain type that will actually mimic actual gunfire by like actually seeing the bullet fly and everything of that sort. Other than that, no, we won't really be using like actual like artillery or anything of that sort. But it will probably make it look like it's the real deal. That's the only thing.
I'll say this: there's two ways. Again, just speaking as a producer, there's two ways that we've done firearms, and that I personally have done firearms, and that's either having blanks on set, which has to be cleared, like there are a whole bunch of insurance stuff with that, or doing it in post production and actually just having it digitally placed on. I never recommend using the blanks if you don't have like a gun wrangler on set, like a weapons wrangler on set, etc. Just simply because there's all these safety protocols. Like Brandon Lee, for example, from my understanding of his death, it was actually because of a blank. So not because of actual, anything else. It was a blank.
Oh, are you talking about the actual
the Crow
movie, the Crow? Yes, I actually used to watch that with my mother when I was a child all the time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody's always proceeding with caution and with the best practices of safety when you're producing anything for JFH or producing for, again, these are your stories. Like when it comes to JFH and how we're doing this, because like what JFH is, in case anyone has not been, if I haven't been clear before, we actually have a production company or a startup company called Real World. And Real World is essentially focused on making movies with the world. So Justice for Hire is our first project, the whole concept of building out a cinematic universe with a community, and where the technology we're building, et cetera, is going to enable more and more dynamic collaboration. So like we're super focused on empowering people to create their own stories. But when it comes to JFH in particular, you guys actually own your intellectual property. Like there are other companies that we're going to be collaborating with that are going to say, hey, if you build a cinematic universe with us, we're going to own your stuff. That's not how we're doing it. We're saying, hey, you know what? You own your stuff. We are working together if you put a brick in the wall, you can't just pull the brick out. Like it's your brick, but like we're building it together because we're actually building a bridge together. So it's a really, and you'll see all of those details of how we're doing this, even from a legal standpoint on the app. And as we go forward, as you guys start testing next week. But the real focus here and from my mind is that these are your stories and you're crossing over into JFH. And so when you cross over into JFH, that's where we're all affected by your narrative. And that's both in character and out of character. We as a community want everybody to be safe. And I'll leave that subject behind in a second. But just make sure that if you're going to shoot in a location, that you've cleared it, that you've let authorities know, because like like I just as a whole, and I'm not just saying this for you, Voldemort, but like for anybody else that may not necessarily be as sophisticated as a film production professional as you might be, that's just part of the practice. That like you let the authorities know, and that let everybody know around that building what's happening, so no one calls the cops on you. And if someone does call the cops on you, because you've already let the authorities know, everyone knows you're doing a shoot, and it's just fine. So and please always feel free to ask me questions about that. And we have deep resources when it comes to action filmmaking network, and just mentors and advisors that we can always bring on to help you with your stories that are pretty significant. So, Captain Darkness, you have something to say? And I know Kid Ninja, you have something to say too. I see your hand up, so we'll go to you.
Yes, I've been working on my hero backstory since it was announced. Kind of having a little difficulty because the one physical aspect of Captain Darkness, that what he does is kind of different than what Voldemort does. It's a little bit different. Since I watched a lot of the Marvel movies and anime, so I went back and go double back into some of the characters. So I decided, oh, this would be interesting to fit into my character. I've been tweaking my story because it's based off my personal experience. Captain Darkness was actually a name that I chose because it signifies inner darkness. It signifies the character's inner darkness and inner being. And I just embody that. So I learned how to embody it, know how to create it, know how to do all that. But the main thing is Captain Darkness backstory. He was bullied. So he was completely bullied, hurt, betrayed, abandoned, and forgotten. And he rose to power. First, he was a villain beforehand. He rose to the villain status a long time ago, but sadly, he retired, what we call abandoned that way of life, which is the path of a Ronin. When you abandon your master or your sensei behind, or put away your sword. So it's basically the embodiment of a Ronin. So he abandoned that way of life, left behind his blade to another person, and he carries the same blade he used to use all the time. That is a little bit different of what the ritual blade he uses. So he abandoned that blade, but he gave it to his predecessor, which he gave it to him, which he kept the old one, which is very symbolic to Rurouni Kenshin if you watch anime. It's similar to Rurouni Kenshin, how he abandoned the assassin way of life because Captain Darkness was an assassin. He was one of the best assassins, better than Deathhawk. Better than Deathhawk, way better than he was. He was the best assassin. And the thing with him, I have to embody the assassin traits, the assassin nature, because he's an anti-hero. He works outside the realm of every hero aspect. So he works like in the shadows. He works in the dark, in the mostly places people don't want to lurk, like areas that is dark and foreboding. So he works there, and he is one of those people that you don't want to get into a fight with, because he assesses every time a new hero pops up, he always tends to take him as a challenge. And assesses as like a skill, test their skills, because he despises what we call weakness or lack of skill, as he always wanted to fight the strongest or the best.
So actually, yeah, let me pause you right there because that connects to, I think, two call to actions that both Voldemort, I'm interested in your thoughts on this for your story, and Captain Darkness, I'm interested in this for your story, because you just said a call to action in my mind, and that call to action is essentially asking heroes. Somehow you're challenging heroes when they pop up, and Voldemort, you are actually assessing heroes and keeping a log of them. And so I'm trying to figure out for both of you, and I'm interested in thoughts of everybody else. And of course, Kid Ninja, I know you had a question, and Jay Edward, we're going to get to you right after that. And let's start with Voldemort while you think about this, Captain Darkness. What call to action can you give us as a community to give you the information that you need to shoot a scene right now? Like, what is the first thing that Voldemort needs from the hero community for the piece that you want to put together for, let's say, this your first episode, or this first moment where you cross your narrative into the JFH narrative where all these heroes are now accessible? What do you need from us, Voldemort?
Okay, so what I honestly need is a profile picture of every single person that there is. Just a profile picture. It doesn't have to be a video or anything of that sort. If they want to do a video intro stating who they are and everything of that sort in the small video, okay. But by the end of that video, it will pan out to a profile picture of their hero name, their actual name, where they're located, and just a description. And the description will, I'll pretty much be doing the descriptions of the thing, but if they want to try to do a description in like a mercenary standpoint, that's basically what Voldemort is. He is pretty much like an assassin as well, which as Captain Darkness was talking, I was actually smiling like a jackass named Briars. And I was thinking, oh, this would be an interesting fight if they ever met in the same room. But that's all I really desire for right now.
Okay. So let me ask you a question on that. Now, if you go to the JFH Instagram and you go to JFH Heroes, which is right here on the top highlight section, and you press that, is this what you need in terms of each one? We have all these different heroes here.
Yes, kind of. I just want them to make sure that it's a clear picture, just a clear picture of their face and or body, like either or. It doesn't really matter. And it could be them in their hero costume, or be them in their actual like they're showing their face or whatnot. And I'll pretty much just put it in a small box, and I'll be putting a description on the left side of that photo. And
Okay.
and I'm gonna be putting that on on my computer, and so that way when I start doing the actual shootings, I'll actually be scrolling through each and every single hero, and you're gonna be able to see it from camera. So you'll see which one's neutralized and which one's not.
So question, do you need, so now I'm really getting specific on the call to action here. What is the best thing for you and for your story? Because essentially everything that I just showed you on, and that's not all the heroes, because there's more. Our hero profile on the app has exactly what you're talking about. It has you guys will see this next week, but it has the hero image that actually is that video. So pretty much everybody on here has a hero profile video. I know Jay Edward is actually coming on to the cast soon. So so his will be ready soon. But essentially what I'm saying is that that is the first thing that'll be on JFH, is your hero profile video. For anybody else in the community that's been with us for a few years or a few months, and you've created other content like Code Gray under a previous name, has a ton of training content. All of Code Gray's training content is on the app right now, like all of it.
Okay.
So like everybody who's done anything on the community in the past, doing any challenges, etc., we've actually been collecting all this stuff in like super organized folders, you know, so that we
Yeah,
can
I
populate
understand.
the app with it. So, so that being said, if you just go, Voldemort, can you just go to that JFH Heroes highlights, click
Yeah,
the
I can
hero, and then download what you need from there via an Instagram, Instagram video download kind of website, because there's a bunch of those, or do you need something else from our community that we need to say, hey, everybody, send Voldemort this?
I can also just wait for the actual app to come up, and
Okay.
I'll just try to integrate it into an actual instance after you can actually do that. So that way I can actually be able to access it, actual thing, and it'll just be interesting to do that.
Okay,
But
so I'll send you a link.
As for
Please continue.
the connection, but I was gonna do a couple of videos where like
Voldemort, it's getting a little hard to hear you. You're cutting up.
My bad. My phone's overheating. I'm using my phone to do.
Oh, I think we just lost Voldemort, but we're going to get him what he needs so that he can start to produce his episode. And Captain Darkness, is there anything that you need from the community? And Vengeance, we're gonna get to you right after we get to the questions from Kid Ninja and J. Edward. But is there? But still here in the meeting. Okay. Voldemort's back. So, Captain Darkness, is there anything that you need directly from the community right now to help make your challenges?
Okay. Well, it's very specific. So anytime there's a new hero pop up or a new iteration, it has to be like the same thing on the app, like a photograph with a
Hero profile video, yeah.
hero profile variation and in costume. So that's the only specific thing that I have is like in costume. What are you in costume?
Okay.
So I want to see them in costume. Like,
So then essentially the same thing that Voldemort needs, I'm gonna get for you. I'll message you guys on the side from the Justice for Hire.
there's
And-
another thing because the list of set
Oh,
of
Jen.
Yeah. So who's that?
Vengeance.
Vengeance. Okay. So I know Vengeance had what's going on, Vengeance?
What did you want me to talk about?
Yes, I want you to tell everybody about that too. I just know that Kid Ninja and J. Edward both had comments or questions. So Kid Ninja, can you jump in first, and then we're gonna go to J. Edward, then Vengeance.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't need my questions answered anymore because I think Voldemort told me everything that I needed to know. I was about to ask about what information he needed.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we're good to go.
Okay. Awesome. And J. Edward.
Yes, I want to go back to safety. Safety should be the #1 priority in everything you do, whether you're filming, you're rehearsing, or whatever you do. On set, I have my crew wear reflective vests whenever we're doing practically anything. That way people see you, and if you stand out, they know, and they see the camera and the boom and all the stuff. They know that you're, everything is fake, right? So especially if you have like toy guns on set, I actually have cones that say toy guns on set, just to make sure. And I have a banner and I have a bunch of little signs posted around so people see that, that we're faking the whole thing. Just to be on the safe side, right? You got to be a little bit exaggerated. Now, coming from the COVID, if you're having doubts about that, don't. It's really serious. So that should be your #1 priority. one of my brothers passed away from the COVID 5 months ago, and I currently have 8 family members with COVID. So this is real. As for the story, I think we have to plan out a little bit more the story because, a story is king. I think it might be a little early, for someone to go out and be taking out, heroes, because we haven't established much story of all the heroes. You have only 1 episode, right?
We have multiple episodes. We've released one. The next one will come in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I personally think that it's a little too early. I think we got to establish a little bit more. I think we got to establish that some of the staff that we're investigating, some of the cases that we're working on, they are being sabotaged by someone, and that's why Voldemort is, investigating the heroes, and he's trying to find out who's real and who's fake, who's running the investigations that we're making, of taking out the bad guys. Let me see what else.
I don't want to interrupt, but my phone's at like 19%.
Okay, cool. We'll jump into you right now, Vengeance. And Jay, just to give Vengeance his time, because we're planning on talking with him as well. But Jay Edward brought up some really wonderful things about safety, of course. And of course, any of these hero meetups, they're always recorded. They're always going to be online, so everyone can always reference them. But I think it's really important to just point out that while we only have 1 episode that we just put out, Jay Edward, we've actually have been doing this with the community for about 2 years. And there are many different stories that people have developed on their own that are actually their own stories. So that's what I mean by the crossover into JFH. Like your story is your story and it's your character. However you want to actually integrate the concept of JFH, the concept in and of itself lends itself to any story. So it's Uber for heroes. You could hire a hero or become one and get paid. As long as you kind of reference the concept of the app and you follow the universe rules, which are on our Discord, they're also on our app, etc. Which they pretty much do a lot. And so as long as all that's being followed, any story you tell can be canonical. And so therefore, it's less about all of us having to focus on one story, even though there is a larger story that we are revealing through the series. But your story is absolutely valid and everybody else's is too. So I think it's really, really important to drill down on that. And with that said, I want to come back to you because it seemed like you had more to say. But Vengeance, Vengeance had a great idea. He saw episode 1. He said, hey, I want to collaborate with other heroes. Yulong is another hero that's in New York. Sensei Claus is on here. He's in New York. Of course, we are all being very cautious and conscious aware of the COVID situation. So I've really been emphasizing that we can do this remotely, being able to produce content remotely rather than having to get together in person. And of course, unless you have somebody that you're very close with, that you feel safe with, etc. That's your call. But in general, I think all heroes should be able to collaborate remotely. So Vengeance, what were you thinking in terms of, can you share some of your thoughts with the community, especially the ones that are New York centric, since you're in Jersey and you were having thoughts of going through the city?
Like the idea that I told you about?
Yeah, in terms of the activating the community, is there anything that you need from other heroes in terms of shots, etc., that can be helpful at setting up the story that you want to tell with Vengeance?
Well, right now, no, not really. Not that I know.
Okay, so you're still in development for your for the idea. Okay, great. If there's anything you want to share, we're here. And we can keep on workshopping. I'm always available, or I'll be as available as much as I possibly can to workshop any of the ideas that you guys want to put together, and so we can tie it into the larger narrative.
Jan, I have one announcement. I have a friend that is actually a photographer and a videographer, and does video for YouTube. He's a really good close friend of mine. and he does a lot of video for his little YouTube channel called Uninspired TV. I was hoping I can actually list his help with this
That's great.
when in person comes back and see if he wants to help record and film, so you have an extra hand, and that way one of you have to worry about holding a camera every time, so you can do everything in succession.
I understand, and that's great when when being in person makes more sense. But for now, again, the idea of Uber for Heroes, etc. What JFH is, the fact that we could go right now and the phone is actually part of the story. So you running around with a phone and doing anything. This is the opening screen for the app. But you running around for the phone and just that's part of it. So feel free to really embody that, telling your story through the mission that you might be on. And again, these missions can be all about whatever you find in your neighborhood, your daily life, etc. That you feel like really needs to be addressed by society. That's something that a hero is necessary for. What is that? Doesn't have to be action at all. This is really genre agnostic. It's really all about what you feel we need to change in the world. I'm an action filmmaker. I do martial arts like all the time. So for me, action is like a thing. So with that said, J. Edward, any other thoughts?
No, I'm just gonna try to maintain whatever I come up with from your main story, because for me it's just a lot easier to carry from that.
I appreciate that.
But whenever you guys are watching an episode, so it makes sense from whatever you're coming next and you're just following the whole thing. You know, if you're numbering things as episode 1, episode 2, I think it's gotta make sense whether
how you tie your
everybody
narrative.
has their own,
How you tie how to tie it in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're carrying a main story, so I think that's gotta be carried through. At least say something about it through each episode.
I appreciate that.
Please. I just wanted to say one thing, and then I gotta go. But all I wanted to say about Vengeance was that like when it comes to collabing and stuff, so I'm thinking of making Vengeance like a mercenary type of style character as well. Like anti-hero, I guess. Not really. I don't know. Like he needs to find his purpose, I guess. Like you know how Arrow started in like the TV show, like in season 1, like he started killing and all that, and then like over the years.
Can you speak a little more? Bring the phone a little closer because it's hard to hear you with the. I heard you say, "Do we know how Arrow started season 1?"
So you know how you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how like Arrow started in season 1, and then like over the years he keeps coming like past all these other heroes and stuff, and he just starts changing his personality and just everything in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do with Vengeance at first. So first Vengeance is going to be out of control, and then you know the rest that I told you from there.
Okay, so you see a gradual build out of you integrating other heroes into your narrative.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. I totally agree with that, and that's why we're doing these journey challenges personally, and from a to be as helpful as possible with everybody telling their story first, like really getting your origin, because your origin actually really should be about you before you integrate other heroes. So if you look on again, go to the Justifier Instagram and you see the journey challenges. We'll put out Journey Challenge 3 this week. As well, there'll be a lot of stuff this week because there'll be app, we'll set up the real life superhero thing, and there'll be another journey challenge. But we did journey challenge 2 yesterday, which is just the setting. So if you follow these challenges, you shoot your hero pose and then shoot the setting, and you start adding the narration that we're talking about. Essentially, by the end of it, you're going to have your own like mini movie of your origin story. And we actually have a few of those completely done. There's 15 challenges, so we're going to start putting that out as well from Neeks, who is on our Warner Media panel. So Neeks has done all the challenges, and we'll start putting his out just to kind of showcase a hero that's actually completed all of them. But is there any other ideas that anybody else had again, I want to be as helpful as possible to anyone who's while we build out the technology that helps to automate this stuff, I want to be as helpful as possible.
I do
Really
would
quick,
love-
I'm sorry that I keep interrupting.
Okay, go ahead.
It's okay.
So, yeah, that's all I had to say. But I have to head out now. I think I'm gonna
Okay.
die, and I
Good
have
to
some
see you,
massive
Vengeance.
headache right now.
You long
Alright,
had a
guys.
question.
man.
Cheers,
Good night,
man.
guys.
Happy
Hey.
holidays, man.
You too.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good to see you.
What's up, everyone? So, as Voldemort was talking, and he's the he's just chaos. I think it's phenomenal. I like that idea of the character just being chaotic,
Grazie.
going after everyone, giving them a reality check. Say, hey, what you do? Excuse my language. Just so happens that we had a lot of snow in New York, and my training area, my canopy collapsed, and it looks like a disaster. It looks beautiful for like someone trying to come in and shake things up and make havoc. And when he brought up the idea of what he does, I think it would be great if I took a few shots and said, "Hey, Voldemort, let's collab." I got a disaster area of a backyard. Maybe you heard of me and just trying to ruffle my feathers and see what I'm about, and you destroyed my backyard. You destroyed my training center.
I'm
it
down
looks
with that.
like,
I love
yeah,
that.
It looks,
It's so
it
cool.
looks freaking crazy. And then it's just like, okay, let's now got to find you. And right, I got to go look for you now because who the hell is this guy trying to see what I'm about? And then we figure it out at that point. We can make some really cool, storyline right there. But I got a nice shot of my backyard that's just. I'll throw a little bit of the canopy canvas all over the place. I took it down because everything collapsed. But my weapons all over, my weapons racks all over the place, snow all over the place. I just throw the dummy on the floor and it'll be perfect.
So Voldemort. I mean that's amazing, and this is really two things. One, if just for out of character, Jam producer, wanting to get you guys the best coverage you possibly can get. Coverage meaning, you long, if you could shoot not only the area that's broken down, but also your reactions to it. Like getting that, and maybe even getting a third angle of you and the shot, like maybe putting the camera far away, getting and just getting that wide, that very long shot of you looking at it. I think those three things sent to Voldemort would be really, really helpful at just kind of capturing the moment, because any moment is normally like, shot of the subject, shot of the reverse shot of the reaction to the shot of the subject, and then the wide shot, essentially of the two things in one place. So like, as we build out technology to help you guys capture that stuff faster, I just want to be able to offer that. That'll be helpful for the moment, because that's a great moment, and that's a great way to kind of tie narratives together. So that's awesome, Yulong. Thank you. And just
I actually kind of want to say something.
Please.
I'm now kind of thinking of this idea of the whole scenario that he says. I don't know whether or not to actually be standing or sitting, waiting for him to just walk up. I don't know, and this is actually kind of getting to me a little bit. So yeah.
So that's interesting. When you say standing or sitting, do you mean so? How do you envision that scene? Is Voldemort there, or is Voldemort is he long gone and all?
I would actually say he's sitting right there, right in the middle of all of the havoc, and he's just staring Lou down, like full on, not moving, just eyeing him down. That's it.
So I think that's
If you could like superimpose yourself into the scene, that's awesome. Unless you can make it to New York.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that'd be freaking great. That'd be great. I mean,
Hey,
I think sitting down just
try.
gives you a power position because you are this, you are this mercenary, right? So the sitting position with your one leg over the other knee, right? Sitting there, I see like shadowy face, and just like looking to see, am I the submitted type? Am I going to submit to your presence, being the this all powerful person sitting on a seat, kind of like where my seat would be, so the throne of my training area? Am I going to submit to that and be reasoning with you, or am I going to show up your power position and meet you at your level, and then you'll have to make the assessment at that point? and we take it at that shot too. Like I don't know, whichever one you feel good for your character.
I actually feel like that idea would be very best, just to have that intimidation factor as well. Just to see like what that person will do, because my character won't make the first move. It's up to that other person to make that first move.
Right.
If they move, they failed the test. If they don't move, they're fine.
You know, it reminds me of like a Nick Fury, but a Nick Fury with a nuclear bomb. That's like, okay, you move, goodbye, boom, you're done. Like, don't waste my time. You know how Nick Fury sits in the corner of a house and just watches you. And it's like, dude, I've been here the whole time. Right?
Pretty much.
But this time it's like you have all the weapons directed at the person, and what are they doing? You know, do they play into your game, or do they play the game with you?
So, Voldemort, I'll say this because I think there's two ways. As much as I love that idea, I think there's two ways to go with that narrative. And when I say the narrative, I mean, I think right now, just to make sure that your presence can be felt by heroes nationwide, I think there's a scenario where the remote production actually has a benefit for your character and for the story, because you were potentially not in that scene. Two things can happen. One, Yulong can shoot it right now. That's one. And two, other heroes can shoot something similar right now. And then you have a montage. You have a montage of Voldemort has been here. And so if multiple heroes shoot something that has been disrupted by you, and we cut, or you cut, or you know, and I could potentially cut this, but I'm saying that, and all of these scenes are cut together with a potential narration from either the heroes or you, that essentially links all of those scenes to you vetting each one of these heroes. That to me is really, really interesting, because it showcases how you have been able to go across the country in a very short amount of time, and it adds to the mystique of your character. So I think that is those are 2 points that make the remote production that much more one feasible right now, and 2 scalable in terms of you having the scale and your character having the massive presence. So that to me is interesting. I think you should consider that. I'm not saying you should do it or not, but that's just something to consider, because the other scenario is you having to drive to New York, you have to get to Yulong's backyard, and then of course there's a third scenario of, oh hey, I actually need to have my you know, I need to do some VFX and superimpose myself, and you know, there could also be a fourth scenario where
or sorry to interrupt because you're on a roll, I'm truly sorry, or
go for it.
I can just show up at my backyard. There's a laptop on my counter on my table, and it's open, and it has a silhouette of Voldemort sitting right there, staring in live, right? Live, like it'll be a video that was shot already, and it's just playing on loop, but nobody else knows that. It's just me watching him staring at me, knowing that I know that he's the one that did it. Right now, I got to figure it out, and we just have that standoff or that stare off. And then the fade out could be somehow we meet up in person, or we have just a series of chaos happen throughout the time that passes until we actually do meet in person, leading up to like suspense, leading up to us meeting. Like, you know, like he's just like stalking, watching. I go this place, there's drama, there's something over there. I go back home and something's missing, right? And then it appears again, and it's him playing games, trying to figure out my next move, and I figure out his next move, until we actually end up with a standoff where we're actually in front of each other at some point, if there's no way we can meet up in person in the next.
Okay. If I may,
Please.
This is actually I can actually integrate both of your guys' ideas. Every single time that someone's going to be recording a calamity that my character will supposedly be doing, as he said with the laptop, I can let's just say that my character can easily do it on the phone, on the laptop, on any device, and it is basically a calling of you either are gonna die or you're gonna be a hero. and that can be actually integrated by both of them. So that way I can also, as you said, we can make it on a larger scale with my character's presence mysteriously known. And there's just could be small videos unique to each and every single hero, and the ones that actually want to be integrated into the story, and the ones that, like, again, don't want to be. But I think if we put both of those ideas together, that would actually be very much more easier. I mean, it would be a lot more fun to actually be in the middle of it, like actually in person, and shoot a live action fight or whatever, or a interrogation, whatever. And it would be fun to do that. But I think that if we do both of those ideas at the same time, it would actually be a little bit more easier and a lot more safer for everybody. So that way we're all not spreading COVID. Because seeing as I'm also a truck driver, I kind of run the risk a lot more because I'm out and about a lot, and I don't want to endanger anybody. So if we can actually do the actual videos like that, that would be perfect.
So, well, you just kind of blew my mind for a second too, because that's awesome. And also, we're in the age of, I mean, the fact that the app even exists, the whole concept exists, and we're in the age of you being able to send out drones. So like there's
that
a scenario where if a hero has been marked by you, we could shoot, or they could shoot on their own, running from things that you've sent after them, such as drones. Because essentially, if you are in a command center of your space, or for wherever you are, and you're sending out your whatever means you send out that is automated, that can follow heroes, that to me is really, really cool. It's also really super realistic because that technology exists.
Yeah, it does.
So I mean, there's a way for us to put the story together right now, activate the whole hero community. Anyone who wants to join shoots this scene of essentially what havoc has been put out and whether or not they've been marked. And so I think Voldemort, I think that on the side, we should probably workshop this week, and then make it essentially announcements to the community, like, hey, if you want to join this story, these are the shots that we need from you. So we will create this shot map that people can shoot 3 shots and then send that over, and then you can kind of make the next call from there, and then kind of continue this part of the story.
Let me jump in real quick. There's another thing that Voldemort, you mentioned about the phone. You can even do it off the phone, but you can actually record right off the screen of the phone. Like, there's an app that you can record your screen. So imagine that you already had access to everyone's phone number, and in the midst of them realizing the havoc, you give them a call, and it opens up to you right there on their phone too, and recording the phone itself, which then they can switch and have a recording of their reaction to you and record what's going on the phone. Okay. Just throwing another angle in there of catching the interaction between your character.
Yeah.
And everybody.
I'm also going to say this. Doing it this way will actually help me out a lot, because I have a very bad injured finger and I'm in the middle of healing, so it'll actually be a little bit more convenient for my injury right now. So yeah.
Amazing. So this
Right. And if you're in Manhattan, Staten Island, I can actually treat your finger, like in and out of character. That's what I do.
Right now, it kind of looks like there's another finger growing out of my ring finger. So it's quite interesting.
I had something to add for my character. Since I made the video for my hero pose, I wanted to make it more, so people would see. Well, the reaction I was trying to get was actually fear and terror. It's mostly the embodiment of fear and terror. You will feel it when you watch the videos. It's kind of hard for me to actually integrate the fear method, because fear is a really tricky subject. You have to play around with different audio. You have to play around with different backgrounds. You have to change up the atmosphere. You have to utilize everything else.
Your last video was fantastic.
Yeah, the last video was fantastic. But how can I implicate it to how my narrative will fit? Because I'm looking at it differently than what Voldemort is doing is interesting and gave me more ideas. So I had this concept of bounties, like bounty list, like people with money signs by their names. And I said, this is going to be excellent. Having bounties is something I like to see. With every hero having a bounty, it's like you have a bounty on your name. It'll pop up on your like a phone, computer screen, and you have a bounty on your with your name on it. And it's like it's meant to instill fear that you're being hunted by who, and you don't know who is hunting who at the point of time, because when I have a bounty on you have a bounty, you don't know who's after you. You don't know who's going to take it. You don't know who's going to go after it.
I really love that idea, and I think that that idea is something that we need to meditate on in terms of how it can connect into the narrative overall. I think there's a way for you as a character to have your own bounty list, and again in a similar format that Voldemort is saying that essentially, hey, I'm gonna any hero that essentially gives their consent to utilize their hero name and image in Voldemort's story, then they can be a part of that of his experience of either being hunted or approved. I think that similar format works really, really well for what you're suggesting right now. If it's something that's out of the JFH app, but on your own you have your own bounty list. So I think, and I'm happy to workshop with that with you on the side as well.
Yeah, that'll be good, but I want my character to not be so in the spotlight, not too much in the spotlight. It has to be way in the shadows so no one will notice. It
sounds like you're talking about almost like a horror suspense kind of.
It's almost that way, but you don't know when the good deed is has been done by who. It's like you're trying to put a face to the name, and you see just the name, but you don't see the face. You see the deed, and it's done, but you don't see the who done it. It's like shinobis. When they go in, they go out, and they disappear. Like you will not know who the person is who done the good deed. You may not get their name. You may not know who they are. You may not know who they're under the whole identity. That's the thing about Mystique, and Mystique is very important to have with this character of mine because it's mostly he doesn't go so above. I want to be the spotlight every time, but no, he does the deed, he gets it done, he leaves with no name, with no comment. It's like keeping that professional assassin trait together that he had already, and still embody that through every challenge he does in every mission. Embodying that is something that I've been experimenting with. Like,
so you know what would be probably really helpful is if you put together some ideas, write them down, and send it via either DM or on Cast Chat on IG. Because when you start logging the steps that you want your character to take in the story, and I would really think about where you are with your character now and how you want that character to grow. Also, how you want that character to influence JFH. So those three components, like where you are now, where you want to be, and how you want to integrate with JFH, that to me is interesting because then we can actually start taking action, creating action items from that list, and actually getting similar to where we are with Voldemort right now. We have a list of action items. Like, okay, cool. The next thing we're going to do for his character, essentially, like put out this call to action of saying, hey, heroes, do you want to be in this story? If so, give us the thumbs up.
Do you want it in a document or a text?
No, you can just write it. You can just write it in there, and
Okay.
Voldemort has literally written paragraphs on paragraphs of stuff over the last year. So like when we started revisiting this conversation, it just made a lot of sense. I'm like, okay, cool. This is the time for development is just makes everything better. Code Gray, did you have something to say? I saw you do this.
Yes, and something in terms of ease of filming. One thing that I've come across lately is you can get a head mount for like a phone for pretty cheap. So if you want to do something from first person, I feel like that makes things a lot easier in terms of like not needing a cameraman, because the cameraman is you, or like perhaps in my case, the way I plan on formatting a lot of my videos is almost like Godzilla, you know, the monster doesn't show up until the end. Until then, it's like, you know, people investigating. And I want it to be from the point of view of the person who's going to perpetrate the crime that I'm going to stop. And just at the very end, you know, like throughout the video, they'll like notice small hints that I'm following them or that I'm onto them. But then at the end, that's when I come in. And then like at the beginning, I might have like a little prologue that's just me detailing who I'm investigating. You know, kind of like a case file number, whatever.
That's awesome. That's a really clear stylistic choice that you actually just laid out. You just gave your what I would call a shot formula for a very particular style of filmmaking. So that's really awesome. Like, so you're saying that villain or perpetrator is first person point of view, looking around. Yeah. So now you don't have to have a second person. You're actually playing that person. But no one knows that, because the you as a character are seen from the third person perspective, which means that the camera is set up as you're following them, and then that person is constantly turning around from the first person perspective. So you have these two different feelings happening, and then you have the narration that essentially guides, walks us through what's actually happening to tie together the image and the actual story. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
You can also do a point of view, from the character's point of view, whatever the character is seeing in front of him. I was gonna say, so this is one of the phone holders that you can get on eBay or anywhere really, Amazon, for like $3 to $10. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
And you just mount it on a tripod or a light stand, and you're set to go. So very easy to get. I have a question for you, Jan. Okay, so far this is on the internet only, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you have plans for this to go like get picked up by, I don't know, CW or someone?
We've actually been having those good conversations for a while. So like there's like what we're doing. I personally, again, out of character, have been pitching this stuff in Hollywood for a very long time. And so we just decided to do it on our own and move. Like we're pretty plugged into the studio system and like across the board. So it's really more so us saying, hey, you know what? Why don't we develop? If we develop a sandbox, then we can, everything we do, like we're not doing this traditional Hollywood model of like, hey, we're doing it until like we get a deal, and then everything that's been done before is thrown out, and then something new is made with the studio. We're actually building a new. That's what our startup is focused on. We're building a new sector of the film industry and the entertainment industry. This is completely new, but we're taking some of those old models and saying, well, you know, if this person who's got, you know, this celebrity wants to join our story, they can have their own story, and this other company can produce that story, and it still allows for all of us to still exist. Like I have my character, I have a character, you know, their Jan in character does stuff in JFH. I want to make sure that Jan in character and everybody else in character stays around for, like, I personally see this out of character being something like the WWE. So for years to come, we're going to be able to have our characters and expand our stories. And that's going to tie into larger, budget productions where either we can unite in person, like the Avengers, and or we can like other actors, etc., can have their own JFH stories, like Hobbs and Shaw as a spinoff of Fast and Furious. So there's always room for TV shows. There's always room for feature films. But right now we're hyper focused on saying, hey, we're making something together, and we're building the foundation that all that other stuff is going to exist within. Right.
Well, I think that in order for us to make it, to have a better following, I understand how you want to make it. You want to make it like a kind of like MacGyver, where you had an episode new, and it doesn't matter which one you watch. You know, it was all.
No, there are chained together episodes. Those chained together episodes will probably start at episode 5.
Okay.
So
Right.
episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 are actually independent stories that do
Right.
intersect in the universe, but
Right.
but we have a chained together narrative that's going to catalyze by the end of 2021. I'm really hoping that we're in a really different place with the story and the community in terms of having elevated the collective journey and all the individual stories like Voldemort, like Code Gray, like Yulong, essentially having everybody build up their characters and stories so that we can start uniting them on a different level. And episode 1 is an example of a bunch of characters that came together, and we're going to be doing that on a more expanded, more dynamic storytelling kind of scale in the coming months and years.
Right, because you do want to end with a hook to see the next one and the next one. That's how The Walking Dead, Grey's Anatomy, they hook you to watch the next episode. So if you don't have any hook at the end,
I appreciate that.
Next one, you lose your story, your fans.
I appreciate that. No, and that's really smart thinking. That's the foundation of comic book storytelling too. Comic books and TV script writing are very, very similar. So thank you for bringing that up, because I was actually having that thought again yesterday watching The Mandalorian. Anyway. But guys, I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you on here. It's a dream come true every time I see your faces. Thank you so much. Please, if there's anything else that anyone has in mind, please let right now. Sensei Claus hasn't said anything today, but he's typed though.
The only thing I can say for right now is that as soon as my finger is healed up, and I'm also going to be revamping my entire outfit, the actual anti-hero outfit. I'll start getting everything down. Huh?
Great outfit, man. That's awesome.
Oh no, I'm actually making it a lot better. Wow. I'm actually getting a custom armor being made for me right now as we speak, and they're $800 worth, and it's all metal, and it's actually going to be bulletproof too. So,
wow.
I showed you the actual account that actually made the book. I sent it to you through the message. That person's the one that is going to be making my armor, and I'm going to be using that as battle armor. So whenever there's an actual fight, that's what my character will be wearing. And I'm also going to be getting a custom mask that he is going to make as a surprise for my late birthday, because my birthday was at least on the 29th of November.
Happy
just turned
birthday.
24, and I'm just waiting for him to finish up everything.
Well, I'll just throw this out there. If you can get shots of that production process of your outfit, that's awesome. That's awesome content. That's all I'll go say.
I will talk to him, and this guy, he actually made the full suit of the Berserker armor in Berserk, and the blade and everything. His work is absolutely stunning. I would very much recommend everybody that is interested in this to actually go look at his content. I very much would recommend that, because he also does need help, and he does need the money too, and I'm also helping him.
Please share it on Cast Chat, because that's I think everyone wants to take a look at that.
Hey Voldemort, are you icing your finger, or how do you injure it? Is it an open wound?
My injury was actually due to me stopping a dog fight, and my ring finger on my left hand, the tip of it was actually ripped almost clean off, and the bone was fractured, and the doctors had stitched it back on. They had to remove the nail. My family my baby sister was actually there witnessing all of that in person, which was the most horrible thing, and I was very concerned. Like, even when I was like almost about to bleed out, I was worrying about my baby sister. So
okay, well, just take it easy, okay? Because if you're moving using your hand, that's gonna take forever. So take it easy so we can get you going really fast, much sooner.
Believe me, I've been bandaging my entire hand so that way I don't move it.
Okay, yeah, and watch how you sleep, because you can roll on it and then get it back to one really easily.
Yeah, I understand that, and my family's been getting on my case about me taking my antibiotics, but I literally just ran out like yesterday, so probably need to go get more. So, but yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about the whole what all is going on with my character. I and my process right now. I'm just waiting on myself to heal. I got to go get a camera. I got to set up some stuff for my intro video, and whatever anybody else wants to try to do, they can contact me through my Instagram, whatnot. I will put it down in the description along with the other uh the other account that made the armor, and he does custom stuff. I actually have another set of gauntlets I got from him that actually can hold my phone, and it has the Hail Hydra insignia on it too. So it's kind of funny to see that. But that'll be a nice integration of that too.
Hey Jan, have you added in your videos the settings, the phone settings that you want, so we all have the same settings on the phone?
I think that you know you're very much thinking from a professional filmmaker mindset. That's great, and I think we're really bridging together the social media mindset and the professional filmmaker mindset. So on that bridge, in my opinion, the settings are not as I'm not personally concerned with different settings right now yet. I think that when the app gets a little bit more sophisticated in terms of helping to auto edit, etc., and stylize like certain tones, we'll definitely get there. And the plan that's in our roadmap. But right now, please just like enjoy like Voldemort. You know, if you have a phone, that's the best camera that I would recommend right now. And if you get anything more sophisticated, you know, then that's only a plus. But a phone is totally fine. And yeah, guys, I mean, like again, thank you all. Sensei Claus, did you have something to say?
Yeah. So I saw something about partnering with charities. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, that was on the agenda for today. Thank you so much. I almost forgot. So important. So partnering with charities. I mean, at this point, I mean, again, the whole concept with JFH, a big part of the concept, even though it is the concept of JFH is actually based on a comic book series called Justice for Hire. But the where we are now with fictionalizing solutions to real world problems, it's absolutely in alignment with us. And again, Sensei Claus a couple of weeks ago, him and Juice got together in person in New York and did some charity work. AK Wonder's mother sent them some gloves for people in need. They're warm gloves. It's snowing in New York, so Sensei Claus and Juice went out and actually distributed the gloves on their own, and so to anyone who might have needed them. So just stuff like that. I think we need to keep doing as a community. And what we've integrated is like I coach the U.S. Tai Chi push hands team, and it's a huge part of my life, the grappling side of Tai Chi. So on Tuesdays, I'm running, you know, we're doing like a Tai Chi to the people from JFH. So essentially, anybody who wants to come and train, it's free, it's open to the community, but it's also donation based. So if you want to give, you don't have to give, but if you want to, all of that should be directed toward a noble cause. So if anybody on here has a noble cause in your neighborhood that you know of, okay, right there, what do we got in Code Gray?
There's this group called Facets. I've been working pretty closely with them for the past few years. They mainly give to homeless shelters and to other places that support, you know, homeless people. And so far, they have been pretty successful in that. In my area, what they're doing is they're focusing on the Providence district of Northern Virginia because housing around here in general is unrealistically expensive. And the goal is to create affordable homes for all. And in order to truly do that, we need to stop as a nation commodifying human necessities. But until that happens, what they do is they raise money, which they put towards, you know, lobbying for homeless people. Not too long ago, we were talking to one of like the district supervisors to help try to, you know, like convince her to talk to builders about building more affordable homes. And yeah, that was just.
So yes, I mean that sounds amazing. Can you send a link over, or is it?
That I I'll send it in the cast chat.
Please send it over, and we'll reach out to them right away. We'll look into it and reach out, and perhaps this Tuesday's Teachers of the People can be dedicated to their organization. Every week, we'd like to have a different organization that we're essentially helping to raise funds for, or people. I'll just say, last week, one of our cast members, his wife had a quadruple bypass surgery. So, like, if anybody on our team needs something, like, they had a GoFundMe, and we helped raise money for their GoFundMe. So, like, this is for all of anybody, all of us, and anybody that we know or may not know. However we can do good as a community as fast as possible, we should do. So yes, please send that facets thing over, the link over. And Captain Darkness, any final words?
I do have 2 announcements.
Okay.
Then the first announcement is I will be working on my first armor. So it's an Eclipse Armor. There's 2 armors I'll be working on. The Eclipse Armor, and the only one I am thinking about making is the Abyss Apocalypse Armor. Well, it's actually Abyssal Apocalypse Armor, so it's a little bit different. So I'm figure out the materials for that, and looking on YouTube for videos on the making the armor out of foam. So it's made all out of craft foam.
If I may, I can actually help you out with armor creation and all of that. I have myself done cosplay armor, and I have made some stuff, and I can easily tell you like what you need, how to create certain things, and I can also show you some tips and pointers and other videos. If I don't know certain things, I can show you other people that actually can help you and provide you more information to make like your abyssal armor. Yeah, I can help you with that.
I have a suggestion. Can we create a Facebook page for Heroes Behind the Scenes so we can share all this information?
So we call it development. We have a whole development section, and so yes, I'll send you. Let me write that note down to send you the developments section. Development.
And the last announcement is the charity that I usually volunteer for the Heritage of Pride that does the Pride parades in New York. So I work with them during the summers. There is a charity called the Trevor Foundation, which we call the Trevor Project. So anyone that wants to, donate to the Trevor Foundation.
The Trevor Foundation.
Yeah, the Trevor Project. It's mostly for the LGBT youth. That's meant to stop LGBT youth suicides and bullying, to liberate safe spaces for LGBT youth in the United States and all over the world. So if anyone wants to start donating for that one,
we'll put it on the list. We'll look, and if you can send
or there's another one called Glisten, and that's another one that.
Can you send those links on DM?
Sure, I can send it through Cash Chat.
Thank you. And
I'll send both of those Cash Chat. Oh, and Voldemort, if you want, I'd be happy to have some help because this is my first time making armor.
I've made leather armor, and I've made EVA foam armor too, a little bit.
Hey.
I've dabbled in it. So
if you make any videos of you helping making this armor, again, please also share that, because that anytime we help each other, it's actually massively helpful for the entire community. So if you could capture your knowledge on video, then we can actually transfer that knowledge to the larger community.
Right, okay. And it will be useful for behind the scenes. We can also use this to get funds to create episodes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do that.
Just contact me directly through Instagram. It's a lot easier to find me.
But yeah, we want to make it as easy as possible. So like wherever you share it, we're just know that for any hero, if you guys if you make content, and share it with the JFH community, like we're assuming, and of course I normally reach out and ask, but like we're assuming that this is community JFH content, so we're collecting it so that everybody can consistently access that content. So like this is a larger vision. It's a multi-year vision, so we're building out as we go. And on that note, thank you guys. Thank you for taking time on your Saturday for this. I will reach out to both of these organizations, Voldemort. Like we have everybody, we have action points, action steps. The real life superhero panel for next week will with Code Gray, with Arachnoid, with Yuma, and we'll schedule that. And of course, Sensei Claus, so you raise your hand one more time.
Yeah, I had an organization too. This isn't a charity thing. This is more a collaboration thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of City Year or AmeriCorps, but I used to work for them back in the day. The one I was with, City Year is an education-based initiative. It's in maybe about 20 states now.
City Year?
What?
What is it called?
City Year, like days of the year.
Okay.
I'm actually funny.
And AmeriCorps.
Yeah, AmeriCorps is the umbrella, but City Year came first. So it's kind of a weird thing. But City Year is education-based. They basically help out teachers, students, all that. I worked for them back in 2008. Great people. I still know a lot of them. So if we were looking to get into sort of an educational thing or service events, that would be a great in. I don't know what they're doing for Martin Luther King Day this year, but they try and make that International Day of Service thing where last time I built a playground. So stuff like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly like that's super cool. That's great.
Like I said, they're in maybe 20 states or so, also South Africa. So anyone who's remote or whatever can still probably find a City Year site to do some work with.
Can you please send a link to that as well so we can look a little bit deeper? And as a matter of fact, not just that, but I would probably ask you to reach out. Like let's talk about that on the sideline, because that's we should absolutely, we want to have partnerships like that, because again, anywhere there's heroes, like there's work to be done. So thank you guys so much. And if we don't talk before, I mean, you'll see us on Instagram all every day, but happy holidays to each and every one of you and to all of your loved ones. We're just so grateful to share a lifetime with you guys. So sending so much love your way. Thank you guys.
Hey, do you know when we're having the next meeting? Did you mention that? Or did I miss it?
So the next meeting, we were going to have something next weekend. We're going to announce it in terms of the app and the real life superhero event.
Okay.
So we're going to do that and quite possibly maybe even have them back to back. But we'll figure that out just to be as efficient with everybody's time. But so that'll be next weekend. But the next official hero meetup might be the second weekend of January. So our next like quote unquote hero meetup will likely be early January.
Right.
If not the first weekend, then the second weekend.
Right.
So, and there will be I think the acting of Elixir, aka Avel, has offered an acting panel to help people with their performances, and that will be on January 9th. So
that'll be great.
Yeah, so that's gonna be really, really cool. So yeah, we have an eclectic community, so this is great.
Awesome.
Dan, I'm going to send you the bullet points about everything I mentioned in the chat.
Awesome.
It's gonna be probably Sunday because I have to do a final for my last class, and I have 2 more assignments to finish.
Okay.
That has to be turned in. I'll send it to you Sunday.
Honestly, if this is an ask from me to everybody, that if we've gone over ideas on here, to just send me a recap, that from your perspective, is there anything that you are thinking of? Just send it to me that you need from JFH, etc., and we'll go for it.
Do we post this on the development page?
Yes, I have the note down for the development page to send.
No, do we post our ideas there?
So right now, in terms of the on Instagram, like you can post. I recommend DMing me. Because what we're doing when we're pulling, there's an entire development section of the app as well.
Okay.
We've actually separated into 3 sections, so you'll see, and one of them is development. And there's a bunch of development challenges, and there's et cetera, that there'll always be expanding out, because the behind the scenes stuff is super important. But we'll send you, we'll send you essentially. We have a Facebook page and we don't have as much activity on Facebook just because we don't focus on it. We focus more on Instagram. But like again, as I said earlier, that every social platform is going to have to essentially mimic the same structure of heroes, challenges, missions, development, etc. So if Facebook is where you essentially have the most activity, then we'll likely just have that same bucket on Facebook so that you can be contributing content there.
Right. Yeah, I use Facebook for everything that I do, like organizing, so everybody can see what we're doing at the same time, and they can post photos and videos, and it's a lot easier to share privately. You know.
Cool. So that is on our list.
Jan, do you have the link to the Discord?
Yeah.
I never got that.
Oh, I can DM you. I'll share the Discord.
Yeah, DM me through Instagram to get the link because I never got the
Discord
link.
is another place where we have the buckets in place. So I'll share the Discord on the cast chat as well, and it'll be great. Thank you guys again. I'm good. I got
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Thanks everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you everybody.